What's going on, guys? Gomes here back again on another MLB The Show 19 Diamond Dynasty video, and today I figured it's about time that I wanted to make this video. I have had this idea circulating around my brain for quite a while, and I finally want to talk about it a little bit and get your guys' opinion on it. But quickly, if you guys could leave a like down below, definitely helps me out a ton. Subscribe if you guys are new, definitely would appreciate it. And then getting on to today's video. So, of course, as we all know, within the past few years, MLB The Show has been increasingly Diamond Dynasty oriented, and yeah, they have made slight changes to other things. They added March to October, which, to be fair, I think is kind of an extension to Diamond Dynasty. What with having team affinities linked within there, I think it has a lot to do with Diamond Dynasty. I don't think it's an entirely new thing on its own, and it's a little bit like doing the situational games, the critical situations that you have on franchise in general, which, speaking of franchise, they definitely don't do as much or pretty much anything actually good within there. I haven't recognized a significant franchise change in quite some time. They did some restructuring with contracts. You can extend guys within the year, but only on certain times. I don't know. They really have not made too many strides within franchise Road to the Show. They've added more interactions. It's more like cutscene, or not cutscenes, but it's more like just reading dialogue, reading text boxes, which I don't think is too monumental in my opinion. But fair to say, there is not one mode besides Diamond Dynasty that they've really put a lot of effort in, but I think that is time to change. You know, we've seen games like Madden, games like FIFA, NHL, 2K. They've introduced games that have better play versus friends features, where Diamond Dynasty, yep, you can challenge a person, you know, you can take your Diamond Dynasty team versus theirs. That's literally all you can do. You can't even play Battle Royale against another friend unless you get increasingly lucky and match up against them. But I think it is time that we finally see something like a MyPark game mode in MLB The Show. And trust me, I've heard a lot of people talk about this in the past. I never really was a huge fan of their suggestion within their ideas, but I think this is something very vital and crucial to keeping the game's longevity alive. You know, the content in Diamond Dynasty is great. I think they're going to do a good job within the remainder of the year. As far as a patch, it's September. It's not going to happen. I would be very surprised if we see another significant gameplay patch. But speaking of keeping the player base alive, I think this would be something very important. So of course you have to figure, is it going to tie in with Road to the Show, because you know MyPark with 2K has some ties to Road to the Show. And here's my main idea of how this would necessarily go on about, and what it would be is basically 3 versus 3 games, kind of like they do have within MyPark. It would be that same format. The reason I say 3 versus 3 is, for one, you have to understand this is a peer versus peer connection. There is no dedicated optimized servers like they do have on 2K for the park, so you can't justify really having one person host like 18 people, especially with the service in general in MLB The Show. I just do not think it would work all that well. And besides, I think that's the right amount of people. You know, 6 people in total is not that hard to garner. I think they could definitely swing that, in my opinion. And if you get to having like 9 versus 9, which I'll talk about a little bit later, it's kind of hard to scrounge together 18 people at one time without a lot of them quitting over time. So that's one thing I do want to say. It's just going to reduce standstill the less amount of people you have. You know, it's going to be pretty even, pretty balanced. Like I said, there's going to be more steady action, and that's still always going to be the problem with having a baseball game opposed to having something like basketball or football or hockey or soccer, is you can't always have, you know, action happening at all times like you would in a game like basketball, where, you know, you're always doing something, waiting for the ball, trying to get open, defending another guy. In baseball, you might be waiting for somebody to hit it to you or waiting for your turn up to bat. But I think this could be a great idea how that they could do it. So I do think that this would be 3 innings as well. You don't want to have games all that long. Like I said, you don't want people quitting out, and you know, You could have computer fillers come in, kind of like how they do have on 2K. If people quit out, you know, for like a teammate grade, or they just quit out of the game, they'll have a computer player, which I think you kind of have to have, you know, more or less. Otherwise, it would get kind of interesting having nobody out there. But these games would take 10 to 15 minutes if they're 3-inning games. Of course, it could go into extra innings, but I think that is the right amount of time, the same as an event game, a conquest game. I think it's short. It should be short, sweet, and simple. Get right to the point. There would be a shortened field. I definitely think that has to be a key. Of course, you know, if you're going to run 3 versus 3, this is going to be more arcade type if you guys can't get the deal. I kind of pulled some inspiration from a wiffle ball league. I'll play a clip on the screen right now and leave the video to the original video down below in the description so you guys can check that out. But I had remembered seeing stuff like this, and I think that would work perfectly within MLB The Show, because it's not too large of a scale where it's hard to get people together, and it's not too taxing on the servers on an individual peer's connection. And I think it just could work out well. A shortened field, you could have 1 pitcher, 2 people out playing defense, and then of course the other team having the 3 offensive players of theirs batting wise. So I think this could be a really good way that they could do this. You could position yourself pretty much any way that you do want. You know, you can have 1 guy playing at first, 1 playing at third. You can have somebody playing kind of like more deep left field, and then somebody on the other end at first base. There's a lot of different ways you could position yourself, and that's something that you would have to kind of learn and as you play on more games of these. So I think the pitcher would be manually chosen, at least for the start, and then you would switch pitchers after each inning. So whoever you guys pick to open the game is going to pitch a first inning, then the next guy pitches the second, the next pitches the third. I think that's a nice way to get everybody to do a little bit of everything, get a taste of everything within the game. So I think that could be cool if they added it like that. The interesting thing about it is, like I said, would this have anything to do with Road to the Show? Because, you know, you look at a game like 2K where you have MyPark and My Career. My Career directly correlates within MyPark. You know, you're saying my player is within both of those. Would that be the same thing here? I don't really know. I don't think a whole lot of people necessarily, at least the Diamond Dynasty players, play a whole ton of Road to the Show. I know personally I don't. So I don't see where you would want to grind offline on Road to the Show to build up your stats necessarily. They would have to nonetheless be able to increase attributes, kind of like you can on 2K, throughout playing this online. That would be a vital part. So you can keep getting your player upgraded, and then you know, once you keep on playing games, you're going to get better. So I think that is a vital point. Whether they have it tied within Road to the Show or not, you have to make sure that you are able to upgrade your attributes and statistics throughout playing the game online in that actual PvP mode. So I think that is a very important thing within there. And then also you have to think about like pitching and hitting differences, because yes, you could have only dedicated pitchers, but the problem with that I could see is maybe none of your friends are pitchers, maybe all of your friends are position players. Then you're into a little bit of a sticky situation, a little bit of a pine tar situation, people might say. So then it's like, really, what do you do? So I think if they had some way everybody has some sort of pitching stats, and that's where I think maybe it doesn't have to tie into Road to the Show. Maybe it's its own entire entity. You create your player, and that is specific to that mode in and of itself, and not connected to Road to the Show in any way. And then matchmaking is another thing. You know, a lot of people within this mode would like to have something kind of like the park or the neighborhood. I don't see that. Once again, the servers are not the same. You know, San Diego Studios is a much smaller company than 2K, Take-Two Interactive, so you can't really expect something like that. It would more or less be just matchmaking, I would assume, just like how you would matchmake in a Diamond Dynasty match. And you could have the option, you would pair up with 2 friends, or 1 friend, however many people you want. Well, within 3, obviously, 1 or 2 people. Or you could go in solo. You know, you can play by yourself and match up with other randoms. So I think that could be cool as well. You know, it kind of be like Crew back in the day in 2K, if you think of it, or a little bit like Pro-Am as well on 2K. So I think that would be a great idea. More or less, that's pretty much the basis behind my entire thesis behind this game mode. Like I said, I think it can work really, really well, and I think this would definitely help out MLB The Show and just give people more stuff to do other than Diamond Dynasty. I figure that is something that kind of takes away from the game sometimes, is because they put all their work into Diamond Dynasty, and it's not for everybody. And at some points, Diamond Dynasty can get a little bit stale. They're doing a good job to counteract that this year with so much content. But, you know, with the gameplay how it is, it can be frustrating. And if you had an option to play with friends, which everybody always enjoys playing with their friends, no matter really what game, how shit the gameplay is, sometimes shit or gameplay makes it even more fun to play in certain circumstances. So I think that could be really cool. The other flip side, which I will talk about briefly, is having something like squads like they have on Madden Ultimate Team, where basically you would have a 9v9 game just like a regular baseball game, and you could switch between, toggle between players. I'm not huge on this idea. I've never played squads on Madden. I know people enjoy it, but I think if you could get like a 3v3 more arcade style, I think that would be better surfaced for this game and the player base, in my opinion. I just don't think it'd be as interactive. I think there'd be more standing around, which is of course what you do not want in this situation. It could be confusing, difficult to switch in between players, and I just don't think it would mesh quite as well as having you focus on your own player, because then it would be more like you're just playing reg teams and you're using, you know, just that specific team. It'd be cool to grow your player, grow your stats, build them how you want, so then you could really have some interesting teams. For example, you could have a dominant pitcher to start off the game, and then you and another buddy are really good hitters, or maybe you're really fast, maybe you're going to be the no-fly zone, as I always say, and it's really going to help you track down ground and not have a lot of balls get past you. There's a lot of things that are able to be thought about, and a lot of different circumstances that you guys are going to have to play into account, and it's just really the matter of playing games and seeing what works and what doesn't work. So I personally think this would be a great addition to MLB The Show 20, and I really hope that they do add something like this, because like I said, all we really have is Diamond Dynasty at this point, and if clearly doesn't seem like they're willing to put any work into franchise mode, at least not to me. Within the last 5-6 years, they haven't had any substantial upgrades, like I was saying. So if they do want to put work into a game mode, instead of having something like March to October, which in a sense is an extension of franchise or Diamond Dynasty, whichever way you want to look at it, have something entirely new that is going to incorporate more playing versus friends aspects of MLB gameplay, and I think you'd have a really hit. I think a lot of people would really enjoy it if you do it the right way. Like I said, let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think about this. Do you guys have your own ideas, any tweaks that you would make to my original thesis right here? Make sure to let me know down below in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big old like down on it. Really would appreciate that, and hope you guys have a great day. There goes out. Yay.
Love is love, and hate is hate. To die is an awesome adventure, and I can hardly wait. Earth is a prison, I need a great escape. You know I'm in my zone when I'm up in outer space. You know I'm in my zone when I'm up in outer space. You know I'm in my zone when I'm up in outer space. You know I'm in my zone. You know I'm in my zone. I took a bite of the glory.